I'm always.
Oh, I wish we had that down. Damn.
That was a beautiful synopsis, Tara.
Yeah,
Do you think you can do it again?
I can, but not in this moment. I want to hear what it brought up in you.
Oh my. Um, well, questions. Um, and I was trying to write as you talked really quickly. Um, so you spoke of the unwinding process. So now let me even back up farther. So the birthing process you talk about, and so you see this, um, what do you call it actually? Drum,
Birth,
drummer, go ahead.
drum birthing.
Okay, drum birthing. Um, so as you're, so that I understand what you expressed, um, that birthing process is the unwinding process of traumas and challenges through my own life. Is that part of that? What we're
Very
saying?
personal to you and to the other participants, but we also find that you will mirror each other, that you've been called to the circle for a reason, and that there's medicine from other participants in that circle that will be mirroring back to you some of the healing that you would like to have as well. So we do this as well, but it's not like, oh, hey, Rhonda, come to the circle and share your trauma and your whole story. It's really more that, hey, oh, there you are. And we don't even know your name yet. And we're going to let you come in anonymous. You don't even have to define yourself right away. And we're going to walk in and we're going to get into the hoop of the medicine and get into the water, into the purification, and to recognize this water that we are in, right? And to look at the hides and to see how, they're living, they're still connected by moisture and water. And they still have an imprint of an animal that's come here to make a transformation with you, alongside of you. And that
Hmm.
it's a birthing process, but we don't necessarily go into it knowing. And it's a little bit more fun knowing unknowing. And the unwinding is something that happens naturally. It's not sit on the couch and let's now look at you, right? Like this is, oh, we're unfolding the living altar and you get to place something on the altar. And all of a sudden you look around, you have two doulas here with you. And we're looking at you and you're looking at us and you're saying, oh my God, look at this. This is how funny. This is something that my grandmother had, and this was something that my son had, or something from my childhood, or whatever. And it brings up something in you. And then we're there to witness your process. And oh my God, I didn't even know why I was here. Now it's clearer to me. And we unwind all these things that we think we know. And we start to open up to the organic process. Because if you're already thinking about it, I need to be birthing into a new focus. Then that is already clear. And we're just your doulas to help you unwind that and to reshape it and to have a birthing plan. And if that plan doesn't work completely, to help you understand that everything is aligned perfectly the way that you need to birth this.
Intriguing. I can see where a lot of it is organic, and just I'm a healer also, so I'm very aware with how people show up, and it stimulates aspects in other people as well. Um, for me, I feel like this would have had more impact for me in the last several months than I feel like I'm in a pretty solid space moving forward. Um, Even though there's still a lot of balls moving. I feel very grounded. I've done a lot of work in the last 3 weeks. So it doesn't call to me as much as it did. I still am curious.
Yeah.
Uh,
And so you know that primarily the people who come to sit in this circle are healers. And they come to be held and witnessed so that they can initiate themselves and not have anybody between them and the fire.
And when you speak of the fire, what are you speaking of? I hear a lot of symbology
Mhm.
in a lot of what you're discussing.
It is symbolic, but it's actually quite a container of reality too, right? It's a very much a spirit world where we get to open up this container and like, I like to say, somebody said, "Oh, you're a vulva." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I am. How'd you know?" They said, "Because the vulva comes with her bags of furs and feathers and things and hides, and she opens it up, and everybody gets to dance and play and try on things and become whoever they want to be and then decide who they are." And that doesn't mean that we haven't done our work or we're not healers or we're not good at that. And it doesn't mean that we have to be in a tumultuous time to do it. What it means is that there's a container that's being offered to you to stand in your medicine, to put your medicine on the table, to be seen and witnessed in it. And the fire is real. It's an actual ceremony that we go out to have and bring our song out with the drum. And is an experience that is channeled through you. And that's your prayer. We do an honoring of the energies that have held us. But whatever is coming through you that wants to come through you, that, yeah, we've talked about it. Yeah, we've brought it up, but now it's gonna, I want to talk. Yeah, hey, nah, yada, hey. I'm gonna sing it. This is my song. And then I'm gonna sing it back and say, "This is your song, Rhonda. Hey, girl, this is your song. And we get to see you be you and your medicine and your healing magic."
Hmm.
When I heard about the drums 3 or 4 years ago, and gosh, my mom died. The divorce was still fresh and all that, and I waited till I was ready. And I don't think I was dealing with as much when I went into the drums either. But it was amazing to put my heart and soul into it and put in all the experiences that I had before I was okay. And that it's like that unwinding and then putting into the drum what I was feeling at the time, which was a lot of love and something more I wanted to express to people with the drum and and their healing journey. And so for it just became a beautiful add-on to what I already do. And when I do retreats, I always bring my drum with me.
Yeah, and everybody who's made a drum, I love seeing, like my friend who's a midwife, and she was working with somebody and they were doing a little spin off and she goes, "And she drums over me." And I was like, "Oh my God, her drum's being used." And it's a beautiful bear drum. It's very sacred. And we get very high level individuals who have processed a lot, who do their work. And I will say that there's something that happens when you do the unwinding and that's a very visceral thing. I'm not talking about just unwinding here, but we're actually untethering the drum, tying it, seeing where we're getting mixed up, making it a piece of work. And what happens in that is something that isn't done in our speaking mind. It's a visceral somatic experience that you get to put all of your expertise into that drum and to create it with love, like Robin said, and create something that's a tool for you in your journeys ahead and a healing experience from possibly your clients.
When you speak about putting my expertise into my drum, I've um, it elicits elicited some type of a response that I can't put my finger on. It wasn't strong, but some of it, I've been challenged lately by a newer practitioner that I have run across to that said that I have all this energy, but no container to put it in. And it threw me a fair amount. I'm still sitting with it to, and then there was more conversation that followed that, but it was a sobering observation that I'm not sure I totally understand. But when you talk about bringing my expertise to my drum, one of the things I'm aware of is that a lot of my creativity has been squelched. And especially the last year. This is the 3-year anniversary of when I moved my parents. I brought them here for a visit. 24 hours later, it was obvious my father was too ill. Well, I knew that before I even got here, but the first 24 hours here, it was like, you can't go back to the farm. It's not sustainable. And then we had another family sudden death, and my parents moved here, and then my mother-in-law moved here. I mean, it's just been rolling, rolling, rolling for that whole 3-year period. And I forgot what my point was. That I have been so busy with that my creativity has waned dramatically. And I think probably in all reality, I've lost part of myself. So,
Well, we do soul retrievals in this. We bring ourselves back, and we have a nice, beautiful container that we create to not just contain it, but to amplify it, to direct it, to bring it through prayer, through voice, through song, and a place where you can like share all those experiences and, put it in the drum. You don't have to verbally do it, but just how you bring that. Is it in song? And we gather together, and there's a magic that happens in that gathering. It's something that is lost as a whole, in society and in women in particular, and women healers who all have something to put in the table. We sit in a circle way. There's no one above you. We're just doulas, though. Our focus is to make sure that you and the other participants make it through to each ceremony, and to stand at the fire and bring your song, and so that you know your witness. But the rest of that is you. This is what you're bringing to your altar, to your ceremony, to your evolution.
and so I'm a Jesus follower,
Yeah.
not traditional in many, many ways. So when you talk about altar and some of those things, my traditional upbringing balks at that a little bit. So talk to me from your perspective how that falls into this whole event and process.
Jesus has such a place at the altar, and he's somebody that I work with all the time, and Mary and the Holy Spirit. And everybody brings who and what they walk with to this altar.
Okay.
It's a living altar. It is all inclusive, and the only requirement is that there's love and kindness and not hatred. And so I work with Yeshua all the time. Oftentimes the candles that are brought are Jesus and Mary and guardian angels and things like that. I come from a Catholic upbringing, and I went to study other cultures to try to heal some of the wounding that came through my upbringing. And when I went back, I think I've told Robin, I met a man named Jesus. He was probably a 90-year-old Mexican man with one leg, and he blew my mind. We had to help I had to help him fix a fan belt in his car, and of course. He said, I said, what's your name? He said, it's Jesus. I said, of course. And so I went to Mary on the campus and sat with her. And I said, wow, you know, this is really opening me up. And she said, no, stop it. Go see my son. You all been praying to me forever. And so I did. And I sat with Jesus and I said, you know, I really can't do the Our Fathers right now. And so I'm going to do a medicine Buddha chant. And I did. And he said, how, what took you so long? And I said, well, you know. And he said, if you reject one part of me, you reject all. And so this is when, you know, Jesus walked back into my life, and he has a very special place at my altar. And no matter what you believe and what you walk with, the spirits that you walk with, they all have a special place at that altar.
Oh, and you speak about, oh, I'm sorry. What did you say?
It's your
The
altar.
last. And so when you talk about the altar, though, are we talking about something physical? I mean, I know people that literally have altars, physical altars that they go to every day. Is that what we're talking about, or is it more a symbolic aspect of self?
Well, I think that you're going to find in this that it's always both and, right? That there is nothing that we don't experience within that we don't experience without. And so I bring flowers, we bring candles, we open it up, and however that starts to unfold, whatever the things that you're wanting to put on there is your experience, and whoever else is there, it's their experience. And that unfolds. However, the primary altar is the participants, the people who have come to be there. And so while we might have a physical altar that opens, that has items, and they're just items, they're just metaphors that are in physical form that help us come back to ourselves somehow, right? Or they help us amplify the energy. But when you go into a birth, the woman birthing is the altar. The baby that's coming through is the altar. So the primary focus is to witness where you are, where you're going, to help doula you through the birth of your drum, but also the birth of whatever you're bringing through that medicine of unwinding, of recreating, of singing, of opening to yourself in a way that not likely you get to have that out in this world, because people don't slow down enough to witness each other.
Very true. Oh, you used another term and I meant to write it down to say, oh, and so when you talk about medicine, what does that mean in your context?
The healing that you bring, the healing that I bring, the healing that happens between us, the synergy, the energy.
Okay.
Like if I were to say, we put baking soda and vinegar together, like they both have their medicines, and the little genies get in there and work their magic, and all of a sudden things are happening, right? Like that's what I mean by medicine. And
Okay.
of course, I do offer a tobacco hape. You may or may not ever have heard that, but it is there, and it's totally optional. It's not really the primary part of our ceremony.
Okay. No, I've never heard of it.
Tobacco is a medicine, on the sense that we have a plant that has little components or little genies inside of it that work certain ways, right? And it is used to clear the third eye and to clear the blocks within the system. And oftentimes, so say if somebody has a block right here, oftentimes when we use that medicine, it will show up. First it'll be like this, and then it'll be an exhale, an opening of those places. And so it's just a way to help bring a little bit of an altered state to the routine of which we're in, that can show awareness of where the physical part of the body is holding a block. It's one aspect that's not really like a part of it's not a component that, is like necessary. It's just optional to you if that's how you want to experience that. But those blocks will show up no matter what. You'll be sitting there, lacing your drum, and you're like, I can't, and why? And oh my God, I've got to do it again. And then you're like, it's right here. You know, and it's just that it will show and reveal itself no matter what. So there's multiple aspects of the medicine. There's also the medicine of creation, of creative art, of integrating your expertise into your psyche through the visceral experience of creation, which is birth.
I also want to say, or have you say something about where you source the drums, because I know I have another person interested, and she's very, she's vegetarian, she honors animals, and I had talked to her about this, and she was like, "Well, how does she source the
Well, I
drums?" And I
source
said,
from a provider that right now provides almost all of the Native American powwow drums and all of the indigenous, both here and some in Europe. And they are a small facility, family run, that was passed down, and they are also indigenous and come in that way, that it was an art that he learned from his father and then started this business. And so their whole family works together and they source it from ethically sourced places. So either the animal was hit, accidentally, or had to be taken down for some reason, for danger of his life or something else, by wildlife professionals, or it died of natural causes. Horses and things like that are never farmed, that they've lived a whole life on the farm. They are put down for whatever reason, they're sick or something. And then all those hides go to this place and I source it. It's all ethically sourced.
After hearing you speak, Tara, that I would anticipate that connection, because it sounds like there's a lot of respect, on all levels, the materials that you use, the processes that you walk people through, that there's a respect for that. There would have to be.
Well, and we're also like not only just working on our own stuff, that this animal is having a second chance at life in its own way, right? There's this
Mhm.
implanted skin that still carries the vibration. Like you might get a drum that has a scar. That's
mm-hmm.
powerful, and we get to scry the drums and see what's in them, and there are things that come through when we look at them when they're dry, when they're wet, and when they've, are flat, when they're molded into our drum, and then when they're dry again. And like with Robin, Georgi came and his drum blows me away. It was like a 22-inch drum and it's hoarse and it was blue. It was this beautiful blue and it had ripples, like ripples of light in the water. And I asked him, recently to show it to me. I said, how's your little drum baby? I need to know. And he showed it, and it's still got that vibrant water ripple in it. And his tribe is from Uzbekistan, and they are the water people, the water horse people or something like that. And it was just like,
Oh my
okay,
gosh.
it's like, and so what you're seeking is seeking you, if you know your what he knew he needed horse. If you know you want buffalo, that's coming for you. And I guarantee you that that animal lived its whole life and in some ways very purposefully to end up where it's going now. It lends into
Yeah.
this sense of that we're time travelers, that it's possible that our future dictates our life, right? We're meant to be where we're meant to be, even beyond our own life.
Wow.
I know.
Great question. We go deeper. So I wish there were other people here, because if you know how that synergy we were talking about, and one question leads to another question leads to some kind of experience. And so
I know that's why
I
we
have my,
recorded it.
but
Well, I
what'd
know
you
that's
say?
why we recorded it, so some people couldn't make it, um, and we already have one woman who I'm excited. I'm hoping that she's, we didn't invite her on here, but I know she's gonna bring something magical. Raina, I think is her name.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's like we're time travelers. But I mean, have you ever walked like I accidentally slipped on ice once and I went and did 2 360s and I landed almost, I said, I'm gonna hit the mountain. And this stone stopped me. It's hit the foundation of my car, the frame, at 6 inches from the mountain. And I always feel like that stone like knew it was gonna be there for me. And how long has it been sitting there? You know, like, oh my God. They had these stones and trees have far more understanding about the patience of life than we do as humans.
Mhm.
Definitely.
That's beautiful.
It's definitely a once in a lifetime experience. And I've had people who've done it 3 times, you know, and made 3 drums at least. And I think Georgi's going to come back and do an Inipi drum, but it's like, if you feel called, then there's something there for you. And it's okay, take it or leave it. Maybe it's not the right time, but there's magic that happens here. And I feel so blessed because I've been through several different co-facilitators and they're all been very beautiful, but I really enjoy working with Robin. And it's really nice to have that synergy that we both her and I bring because there's such a beautiful compassion in it and it's soft.
I could use soft.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely am somewhat more intrigued. And in all honesty, for me, the financial part is a challenge at this point. We've had some damage to our house. We've had just a number of things happen. And when my husband and I talked about this briefly, um, we just, I don't know that we can have recovered by April. So we have to be out of our house for 5 to 7 days, and there's just a lot taking place. So, um,
Well, we only need the deposit to get the materials, which is $500. And then you can pay the rest upon coming, right? And that's in March.
it
And
is in March.
March 7th through 11th.
Okay.
Yeah, and so as long as you pay a deposit and reserve your space, then you know, then the rest will unfold. You know, I encourage you to just sit with it and get a clear yes or a clear no. And you know, we trust that process. I definitely encourage people to know that, you know, when we make an investment in ourselves, it does return. I one example, I thought I only had my tax returns, you know, and my friend said, you really need this hand pan. And I was like, I don't know. He goes, no, it's special. It's magical. It opened up your heart and you made this amazing painting about it and you're meant to have it. And I was like, I don't know. I mean, that's like my life is this $1,000, you know, like how am I going to do that? And it was ended up being like $1,600 and hand pans are like they're you know, low end 2,000, right? And so I said okay, you know, and I gripped it like and I let it go. And you know what, when that hand pan came back to me that day, I sold 2 of those paintings that I painted of the hand pan, and it ended up being the exact amount. I sold them both for like 650, and so I got it completely back, the money I invested. And I trust that. And, you know, I think Robin and I both are no strangers to understanding finances. And,
Mhm.
you know, at this point, like, our ceremony is pretty intimate, you know, and so we're really in it for the ceremony.
Which is a beautiful thing. I can see just in hearing you talk about it, and I know what Robin has said, that it is a very, well, sacred is the word that comes to mind,
Mhm.
an intimate time.
And this one's going to be pretty special. Like the Rock Ledge, they totally opened their doors to us in a big way. And I think it would be nice to, just make some time to go and be in the Sun Spa. I've never been there, and while we are gonna do more in the future, and I have other ones that are separate from this that are coming up. I think this one is gonna be the more intimate. And I think there's value in that.
Yes, I do too. Well, I will sit with it, Tara, and I certainly appreciate your time today and sharing so much of that with me and clarifying for me. I was thinking it was in April, but I will have to look at the calendar, the 7th through the 11th. That's it. It'll fall together. If it's supposed to be for me, that's when they're supposed to be doing our floor. So,
Maybe you don't have to be there.
maybe I don't have to be there. Maybe it will change. I do need to be here when they start because they've got to get the color.
Yes.
I've got a whole floor of my house that's got to be redone.
Oh,
So the
no.
color's got to be right, or it's
I
going to
think
be
the
scary.
good thing is that it's not like you're in Costa Rica. I mean, maybe that's a good thing or not. I don't know.
I don't know. I'd like to be in Costa Rica, Tara.
We would too, but Manitou sounds like a magical place.
That might be in the future
Yeah.
for something different. We'll see.
Oh, that would be so fun. I haven't been to Costa Rica for a while, and we looked at the possibility of living there. It's just a magical place.
Yeah.
So,
Well, Rhonda, I really enjoyed meeting you.
and I enjoyed meeting you as well. Thank you so much for sharing your heart with me. It was very special. I can see why Robin appreciates you so much.
Well, I appreciate Robin tremendously, and we never actually get up on Zoom or make the call. We're always texting.
Right.
I realize now how important it is that we get to see each
It is.
other's faces.
Well,
I
and
appreciate you two both. And I'm so glad you're both in my life. And it means a lot.
I'm glad to
And
be
these
there.
times mean a lot. So, yeah.
I do want to just make a point when you were talking about rather than texting. I think we have forgotten in our culture. We talk about vibration. We have forgotten the vibration of our voices. And I know I get exhausted when all I've done is text all day and I've not heard the vibration and the beauty and the heart oftentimes of people's voices. Text cannot replace that. And so I think this is just so important to be able to do once in a while with people that you care about.
Yeah.
So
And that's what we do with the drums. There's singing and dancing and laughing and all crying,
laughing,
all of
crying,
it.
laughing some more.
yeah, I can only imagine how that must be, but there's plenty of vibration, I have no doubt. So, all right. Well, thank you again. It was lovely to be with both of you.
Yeah.
And I
Love you
appreciate
both.
you. So
We'll look
thanks so
forward to
much.
hearing from you, and hopefully I'll get to meet you and have a good night.
Yeah, the same to you. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.